One of the latest books that I received is Mikhail Tal, The Street Fighting Years by Alexander Koblenz. It's an old book, but it was on sale, so why not? Now, what I want to do, more than a review, yes, I will review the book, but I would like to show you a couple of things that are interesting. First of all, there is the initial page which tell us the story of a young Tal, no? That was able to solve everything in his head, also practically some math problems, everything in his head. So he had an incredible visualization, right? But the more interesting part comes to this. Tal's memory has been exceptional since childhood. During the 24th Soviet Chess Championship, Master of Ivar Giplis and I, Koblenz, this is the author of the book, jokingly asked Misha, "Do you remember which line Keres played in the Queen's Gambit against Boleslavsky in the fourth round of the 20th Soviet Championship?" And the answer is, "Stop pulling my leg," the Grandmaster answered. Boleslavsky played Keres in round 19, not round 3. It was Boleslavsky who had white and he played the Ruy Lopez. So I don't know if you understand this. We are speaking of a world champion, a future world champion, because I think he will become world champion in 1960, 1961, that is able to recall the round and the color of the game. As always, I'm kind of curious and I check this little detail to be sure that it's true, that they are not lying, you know, and I found the game. In fact, it's true. It's practically played between Boleslavsky and Keres. It's around 19, December 28. It seems in that time they didn't have a problem to play in the end of the year in Moscow, and it's the Soviet Championship of 1952. The game starts with e4, e5. Now, it's not interesting, but this is why I want to show you this game. Because you understand, if Tal was able to remember this game maybe 4 years, 3-4 years after seeing it, here there are a lot of people who ask, "Oh, how do I improve my chess? How do I..." But they don't love chess. They are not even able to memorize one game. They don't know any detail about it. So that's the part I don't understand. Forgive me. And I think we should talk about it, right? Knight f3, knight c6. You want to become a champion? You want to become a master? But strangely, you don't have any recollection of any game from move 1 to the last move. Notice that this thing, this little anecdote that I show you for Tal, is true also for Fischer. Okay? Let me show you. This is the book Fischer used to prepare himself against Spassky for the World Championship match. Now you say, what about this book? Well, it's mainly a pictorial book because all the games are shown in this system. Practically every 5 moves there is a diagram, okay? Every 5 moves, etc, etc. The book is made by about 350 games, and this is the anecdote that shows you the memory of Fischer like the memory of Mikhail Tal, okay? Practically, when a friend would go to visit before the World Championship match and Fischer was preparing, Fischer would say, "Hey, open one page of the book, tell me the game, the name of a game," I don't know, Spassky, Bronstein, Spassky, he would replay it on the chessboard, like if he remember all the 350 games of this book. So you understand, these champions are not champions because of something strange. It's because they love chess so much, and chess was in their DNA in a sense. Because if you can remember a game played in 1952 by Boleslavsky and Keres, and maybe it's 2 years later, that means something, right? Okay, bishop f4. Let's see. Notice, I tried to find this game in a book about Boleslavsky and in a few books by Keres, and I couldn't find it. Now there is a new trilogy by Keres that should be able to show all Keres games, but maybe this wasn't so important because it's a draw. That's the true thing. It's a draw, and in that Soviet championship, Keres didn't really have a great result, to tell you the truth. And I can show you also the result by Keres, while I think Boleslavsky arrived fifth. So it was a good result for Boleslavsky, but obviously, I mean, he wasn't the one who won that Soviet championship, okay? Why do I say fifth is a good result? Because as you can imagine, the first guys are world champion, second world champion, they are all top of the top. This was the Soviet Union, obviously in the time they had total control of chess, they were the strongest, and so on and so forth. So out of curiosity, I wanted to check this game, because if Tal was able to remember it, probably we should be able to, right, to know something about it. It's a pity that I didn't have it annotated, because maybe it would teach us something. Keres was also a good annotator. For example, this move is kind of interesting, right? To bring the knight back. As you can see now, most of the pieces, black pieces, are in their initial square, while at least white has two pieces in the center. So between the two, white should be better, right? But as you can notice, black has the bishop pair, and surely Keres was a master of the bishop pair. Queen f3, bishop f6. I use this chess set because it's a Soviet chess set that maybe could have been used in that period. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure. I must clearly improve my knowledge of Soviet chess sets, because there are a lot. They are beautiful. Some I didn't like them, honestly. I must tell you the truth. I don't like when things are too simple. But some of these chess sets are really beautiful, and so they show the craftsmanship of this artist in the former Soviet Union. Knight f5, bishop takes f5. Here interesting. So black is giving up the bishop pair. E takes f5. Notice that now white has practically given up a kind of pawn majority that should give him a kind of advantage on the king side if one enter into the endgame. This is a kind of bad pawn structure, right? But let's see how it works, because as you can see, notice the position for a second. Now we are not going to analyze the position in detail, but clearly white has two central rooks, central pieces. Black is still undeveloped, and this is Keres, so I don't know. Clearly his opening repertoire needed an improvement if he wanted to win, right? Knight f5, and bishop takes b2. Very interesting. Very interesting. c4, queen c8, obviously. He's trying to take away the queen. Bishop d2. Bishop f6. Queen c8. Queen c8. Bishop d2. 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 Wow. D takes e4. Now we have 3 pawns on the same file. I guess they will not be a real advantage. Rook takes e8. Probably queen takes e8 if he doesn't want to get checkmated or lose the queen. And knight takes e4. As you can see, this is not so good, but also this by white is not so good. Why is not so good? Because obviously these are targets, they cannot protect themselves, and they, as you can see, are already attacked, because this is here to protect this, so I don't know. Bishop a5 attacking this, queen c8 again. As you can see, black is very passive, he's just protecting himself from white threats, but he's not doing nothing practically. And notice the important thing, this rook is out of the game for good, so it's a kind of big problem. And that's interesting, probably why he played queen d3. That's a thing we should ask ourselves, right? h6, he finally take out the possibility that he gets a back rank checkmate. Of course, he couldn't play this because of this, so he maybe had to find a way to remove this defender of a d8 square. Knight e3, okay, so this would have been the thing, probably knight g4, c5, queen d5, c6, so it was attacking there, queen takes c5. Okay, so that's an interesting position. Knight d7, finally, at move 26, black is finally able to mobilize this knight, which means maybe the rook is coming next. Move 26, clearly not a good opening for black, not something I would like to have, right? Because it was really passive. And of course, maybe it depends if you like to defend endlessly. And if defense is what you want to learn, yeah. But generally you get a problem, right? Okay, at this point white plays a nice move, that is knight d5. Notice this game is not annotated, so I can say some silly stuff, but I will keep it general. This is pin because of this, and this is attacking f6, which means this is attack too, right? Knight g4, h3, so now also white is avoiding the possibility of a back rank checkmate. Rook d7, boom, queen c5, queen b7, now he can finally attack and take that, and knight takes f6, oops, knight takes f6. I hope you are enjoying the game, but more or less it was just out of curiosity to see how was possible that Tal remember a game that was played a couple of years before, and he remembers so vividly to remember even the round. That's the crazy stuff. Now, if you were black, try to ask yourself what would you play, because this is a typical tactic, okay? Boom, rook d1. Obviously you cannot take, otherwise you lose the queen, so you have to move your king, right? But then comes a check again. As you can see now, just notice this is a very interesting part. Practically Keres defended himself from 30 moves, but now he's starting to have his pieces out, and now he's starting to get dangerous. Now he's showing his true colors. Queen c7, queen takes c7, and rook takes c7. rook d5, attacking this 2, bishop b6, rook b5, rook c8. As you can see, this is a typical Grandmaster game. They don't answer to an attack with a defense, they answer to an attack with another attacking move. Okay? King h7, and now rook c6. Knight d5, bishop d4, obviously is not gonna put it here. Knight b4, attacking the pawn a2, and now there is rook c7, and the two agreed to draw. So this was 41 moves. It practically reached the time control. That's kind of interesting. Again, I just show you this game because if Mikhail Tal was able to remember it so well, so we should do some thinking about our own chess and see what we can actually remember. I would like to tell you one more thing, if you have time. Hope that I didn't bore you enough. In this book, GM Ram, Rashid Ziadinov, an international master, proposes a similar idea. He says that if you are able to remember a certain amount of games very well, you will reach master level strength. And in this book, he gives you the number of games you should learn and the games itself. Now, is it true? Is it not true? I don't know. In chess, everybody says everything and the contrary of everything, right? Plus now it's been very commercial, so they obviously entice you with crazy ideas like, hey, repeat this thing 300 times and you will become a grandmaster, without telling you that in order to become a grandmaster you need to make some norm in some grandmaster tournaments, so it doesn't matter how much you repeat a certain thing. If you don't have enough time to go to those tournaments that last maybe 7 days or more, you will never be able to do grandmaster, right? So again, it's an idea. I think I will show you the games in other videos. Let me know what you think.